Luke Fickell gets to stay at Wisconsin through 2026. This news is first reported by Pete Thamel, and Chris McIntosh, the athletic director, said it is clear to him what the university and the college football program need to do going forward. And that had a lot to do with why Fickell gets to stay in 2026, and they're not going to pay his $25 million buyout for a contract that runs through 2031. But there doesn't seem to be much light at the end of the tunnel for Wisconsin fans, but I'm going to try to give you some light, something light to look forward to. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. This is your first time watching Adapt and Respond. Thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Did you expect Luke Fickell to be shown his walking papers in the middle of the season or at the end of the season based on what he has done at Wisconsin as head coach, which is a whole lot of nothing with a bunch of asterisks that I think can be forgiven if you just saw some results, and the results that you saw were not so debilitating. So Fickell this year is 2-6 in the Big Ten, hasn't been really good. So far, we have yet to see a complete football game played by Wisconsin against a Big Ten opponent that we feel is really in their weight class. I have long thought that Oregon would show up to the Big Ten and basically become what Wisconsin was, the third best team in the conference. And that is what has largely happened, except they've exceeded expectations. Year one, they won the Big Ten championship. They beat Ohio State. These are things that traditionally had haunted Wisconsin, especially in the Big Ten East. They've had their licks. They've got them in, but it always felt like, even in the Paul Chryst era, that Wisconsin fans wanted just a little bit more. They wanted to edge up just a little closer to being an elite school instead of being one of the 6-7 best schools in the Big Ten, and they're not even that right now if you're paying attention. But I think Wisconsin fell into the trap that Penn State has fallen into, which is they got bored with being just good. They got bored with winning 10, 11 games every year. They got bored with finishing behind Michigan, finishing behind Ohio State, and never really getting an opportunity to make the college football playoff because those two teams in front of them would take up a couple of those spots in the college football playoff. And then with the first year of the 12 team, you thought that a program like Wisconsin and Penn State, for that matter, would make the playoff because this is what we extended it for. So teams like this could get a shot. Penn State did their part. They made the playoff, and Wisconsin was just awful, just bad. And I realize that there are many Wisconsin fans that like the hire, but I always thought that Fickell was always the guy that was going to be hot because he turned Cincinnati into a power, and they're the only team to make the college football playoff as a group of 5 or group of 6 program in a 4 team. That's going to be forever because we're not going back to 4 teams. We're going to go up, if anything, to 16 or even 24 teams if you look at the stories that I've been writing on Fox Sports about what a 24-team playoff could look like, given what we know the Big Ten is interested in, what other major college football programs are interested in if we go to a 24-team playoff. But beside that, you also got to take into account that they just haven't been good against most of anybody. I mean, they've been a real subpar program in the Fickell era. 15-19, heading into a game this weekend where they got to play a top 25 Washington. They got to play number 2 Indiana, and they still got to finish with Illinois and Minnesota. So it could get even worse given what we've already seen, and take into account that they've already suffered the worst loss since 1980 at Wisconsin earlier this year. And that was a 37-0 defeat to Iowa. Iowa, who's got some love in the college football playoff selection committee rankings, at number 20 on the strength of beating the snot out of Minnesota, beating the snot out of Wisconsin, and playing Indiana to a 5-point game. That's exactly where you expected Wisconsin to be, is in the mix, like Iowa, in the mix. And they just haven't been there. But I think one of the reasons that Chris McIntosh and the other administrators at Wisconsin have given Luke Fickell another year and gone ahead and said in November he's coming back is really twofold. One is the results on the field are not reflective of the program, the roster that he put together. He's had 3 straight years of an injury, a season-ending injury, to his starting quarterback, from Tanner Mordecai to Tyler Van Dyke to now Billy Edwards. So they've been out there basically running what they can. and making some strange decisions along the way, by the way. Like they pull a guy that seems to feeling himself and in his groove for another guy that isn't feeling himself and isn't in his groove because they just want to get to a run threat at quarterback. I don't think that's a great way to do it. You trade out Phil Longo. Phil Longo gets fired. He comes out as the head coach at Sam Houston, and you're trying to gin up your run game and you're passing offense with Jeff Grimes as offensive coordinator. Perhaps he'll return, perhaps he won't. But I always looked at Wisconsin as the team that should have just hired the guy that was already there. Like, no disrespect to Luke Fickell is intended by this comment, but it is true for me. Jim Leonhard was the guy. Jim Leonhard should have been the guy. Jim Leonhard is Wisconsin football. He's everything you want in a Wisconsin head coach. He's a walk-on that turned into an All-American, that turned into one of the best defenders that you've ever produced. He understood the program at a time when it's in constant tumult. And that's the reason why I think they're also giving Luke Fickell another year. You've seen what revenue sharing is going to look like. You've seen what NIL is going to look like. You've seen the extension of the college football playoff. These are all new things. And you're also the program that sued a player for transferring. Now, I'm not saying don't do it, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, I am saying you shouldn't do it. I'm not saying that it's illegal. I'm saying it's a bad look because this is still a player's game. You need players to play. You need players to want to be there. And business 101 is you hire people that want to work with you and for you. You do not keep people on that are disgruntled. You find a way to part. And that's good for you. That's good for them. But now we're going to get to see just what it means for Luke Fickell to have this big overarching target on him going in 2026, because we know when you get the vote of confidence from your athletic director more than once, you might be showing your walking papers the next time because he's holding all the water he can. And Fickell has had experience coaching in this league. He understands how hard it is, but his experience was at Ohio State. And Ohio State is a different beast altogether. And I wrote about this and I've done a segment about this. They have shown they are willing to go into the piggy bank in a big way to continue to win. Wisconsin is not. And that is basically what Chris McIntosh said. Okay, cool. We've understood. We cannot operate on the budget that we have been operating on and expect to compete in the Big Ten or anything like championships. Now we're going to give Luke Fickell more money to go get better players, and we're going to give him what he needs, we think, on his staff to go win. Whether or not that's enough remains to be seen.